Click, click. Hello everyone, this is Take from bigheadtaco.com and I'm coming to you here live again from my living room. I didn't have time to find a super cool spot, and as well I actually kind of like the audio in here, so I feel a little bit like Steve Huff doing videos at home. Hello Steve, how's it going? I thought I just quickly wanted to get my first impressions out as soon as possible since Eric Kim beat me to the punch once again with his video of me with this camera in my car driving him around. So hey Eric, how's it going? So here this is, I'm wearing my Depaolapparel t-shirt with a Leica, I think it's an M4. All you Leica nerds tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I'm sure there's some giveaways of what Leica M this is, but I guess they thought that I needed to wear cooler shirts. So I'll be doing a giveaway with them in either my next couple of videos or either through Twitter or Instagram, so stay tuned. Subscribe to all my different social media brands and we'll see if we can get one of these things in your hands. So thank you guys for sending the shirt out to me. But well, first things first, I love this camera. I like it more than I thought I would like it. There's always quirks, it doesn't matter with what camera, with what brand, and this is probably the one camera, other than not even the M monochrome I really love, but I hated that rear 230K screen. But other than that, there's everything else about it I love. But this one was really hard to find. One of the things that I thought, as I mentioned in my unboxing, is once you screw on this lens cap, you could put in a 49mm lens cap in here, which I actually have on the Fujifilm X100T with the adapter. You can throw on a 49mm lens cap. So this one here, it's the same cap, and you know what? Actually, it's not too hard to squeeze that in there. So I have the X30 here, which has a similar cap as the X100, and what comes with the Leica Q. You know, it's just kind of a cap type that you just pop it on. I just don't like these. They're sexy, they look nice, they make the camera feel premium, but it actually lacks function. And I don't mind form over function at times, but lens cap, I kind of want it functional. So it's sexy, I don't think you'll ever use it. Screw this on, buy a $6 pinch style lens cap, and I mean that looks reasonably cool. I don't think it looks ugly. So that worked out really well for this camera. And other than that, I really could not find a major negative. So I have my laptop here, Leica Q type 116, 4250 US. Some of the main features, 24.2 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor. What does that mean? Well, I heard somebody say, what's the difference between buying this and just buying an M9 with a Summilux or another lens, Elmerit? Well, one of the things is with CMOS sensor you can get much better high ISO performance, which this goes to I think 50,000. I wouldn't try shooting at 50,000, but as well it improves on video performance as well. So this has optical image stabilization, which you activate in camera, and I'll do a test of it on my full review. But by spec, it seems like it'll shoot video pretty good because of that, and because it's 28mm wide. The wider you go, the more you're in focus. Like you get to infinity much quicker, and at least the appearance of more stability. That's why cameras like the GoPros I think they're almost like fisheye lenses, aren't they? But it keeps things more in focus, more depth of field. But because there's a 1.7 Summilux lens, you can get that shallow depth of field if you wish to do so. So that's great. It has all the features that I would say that a street photographer will want. One of the reasons why I really like the Leica X Vario is because of the focusing and depth of field scale and aperture. Actually, their aperture is up here, and shutter speed. So even if you're turning on the camera, you already know what aperture you're in, you know what shutter speed you're in, you know your focus distance. One thing you don't know is your ISO. But if you always shoot at, let's say 400 or 800, it's like always having Tri-X in your camera, so you don't ever need to look at your film camera because you know what you always shoot. So for me, I'm comfortable shooting in the day between 400 and 800, and at night 1600 to maybe even up to 6400. I'm comfortable shooting that way, so you know that. The focusing tab is nice. It's as if you're shooting, it really feels like you're shooting with a M mount Leica lens, although in terms of weight, a real I shouldn't say real, but you know, a Summilux M mount or Summicron, the lenses are actually heavier, but those use a 46 mil filter mount, so the lens is smaller but heavier. It's mostly all metal. This one, it feels all metal, but I'm sure there's components of it that's plastic, or there's less glass in here. But because of that that macro, as it switches over into macro mode, because of that feature, it's a little bit more complicated design, and perhaps they'll find a way to put this into the M mount lenses as well. But it does complicate the design a little bit, and perhaps there's some optical compromise. I couldn't see it shooting with this camera, but another advantage of having a lens that is fixed onto a body is that they can easily match the lens to the sensor, and that's what the Sony RX1 proved, where people did tests and you can see that, wow, you know, you can get a full frame body and throw on a Zeiss 35mm f2 lens and it just wasn't as sharp as the RX1. It's because they can optimize the lens for the sensor. And likewise, this one, you can definitely tell that Leica optimized this Summilux, this 28mm Summilux to the sensor. So all things being equal, I would love to see if someone will do a critical test, grabbing an M240, grabbing a 28mm, probably a Summicron maybe, or Summilux, and maybe pick a fixed aperture. So let's say stop down to f2 or f2.8, making everything equal and shooting at the lowest ISO and see how it renders. So put it out there. Maybe Steve Huff. Steve, you're probably the only guy that will have this and some of those other lenses, or whoever else has it. Do a test and see what happens. But I'm very confident that if you shoot Leica and you want to shoot full frame, you will not be disappointed with this Summilux lens. It is a beautiful, super sharp pop. It pops out when you use a shallow depth of field. The image just pops, and you can. I'll post some pictures on my full review video as well as on my written review. So one of the things that people will probably be Leica fans is that they're wondering why they went 28mm wide. And as I mentioned on my other video with Eric Kim, this was my first serious point and shoot, my Ricoh GR1 film camera, and this was a 28mm f2.8. And those of us that shot these type of cameras back in the mid-90s to late 90s, the Contax T2, T3, actually, you know what, those didn't have a 28. Sorry, so Nikon 28 Ti, the Minosa TC1, this camera here, the Ricoh GR1. There's others. 28 seemed to be the standard wide for a point and shoot, and it has a certain kind of a feel to it. You have to get used to it. For street photography, you're about 2 feet closer versus a 35mm. So if you're used to shooting people at a certain distance, either discreetly or even with permission, you ask them to pose. With a 28mm, you do have to stand about 2 feet closer, 1.5 feet closer. With a 35, it gives you a little bit more breathing room, a little bit more distance, less distortion on the edges. So definitely when you shoot with this 28, if you don't want any distortion, don't put people too close to the edge of the frame. And with 50, it's pretty linear. It's, you know, very little pin cushioning, very little barrel distortion, and again, it buys you distance. So that's why certain people prefer to shoot 50, 35, and less common is the 28mm for street photography. Because of that, it gives you a little bit of breathing space between you and your subject as one of the advantages, or just kind of a shooting style. So you have to get used to it. But one of the things I really did like about this camera is that they give you, and I've asked Fujifilm to do so, and perhaps this will motivate them to do so, because it is just a matter of software, is being able to create these you know what, I actually change this feature here, but to have the frame lines, to be able to do digital zoom 28, 35, and 50 with this camera. And so here you can change this to digital zoom, so as the custom function, that's by default. So you can, here I go, let me do here. So we can, so there's 28, there's 35, and you know the beauty is if you have, you know, someone walking into your frame like this, it's nice to see outside the frame, and that's kind of what people like rangefinders for. And you actually get that with the X100T, even shooting at the standard 35, or you can get the teleconverter lens to give you about a 50mm equivalent. And again, you can really see outside the frame lines, and that helps you to compose shots if you're trying to shoot things coming in and out of your frame. The beauty of this is that when you shoot this DNG and JPEG, which I recommend you always do, so RAW and JPEG, is that the cropped part of the oh, what did I do here? Here we go. So the cropped part of the sensor of the image, that is only JPEG, and it actually maintains the full 28mm wide on the DNG RAW. So that actually is a great compromise. That you can use it for composition. You could decide to keep it cropped or not. But in here it actually tells you if you crop to, okay, so here we go, let's take a look in the menus here. If you decide to crop, so 24 megapixel JPEG, full 28mm. If you decide to crop down to 35, it's equivalent to a 15 megapixel sensor. And if you crop down to 50, then it's equal to a 8 megapixel. So in terms of, for 35, it's up to you, but to me, shooting at an APS-C size, so 24 by 15 mil sensor or 16 mil sensor is still reasonable. It's very sharp. It's usable for professionals. A lot of professionals shoot with APS-C size sensors. So shooting this at 35 in the crop and being able to see outside the frame line is more than what I need. I don't need a full 24 megapixel image, DNG RAW, whatever that works out the file, 40 megabyte RAW file. I don't need it. Some might need it. So well, then too bad you have to shoot at 28. So I think that's a really great feature on this camera. Another great feature is you go into focus mode and then you go into AF mode and it's called touch and release. So it's going to be a little bit hard to show. Maybe I'll just do a little bit later. But if you just touch the screen, what am I doing here? I have to be in AF. There you go. Sorry. So I have to be in AF mode. So we go into AF mode on here. And if you just touch the screen, it will shoot where you touch. Now the biggest issue I had with tracking, or sort of we allow the camera to decide what to focus on, the camera never knows what you want to focus on. So what a lot of street photographers did is we got used to a zone focusing system where we know that whatever focal length you're using, so let's say we're shooting with the 28, we're used to shooting people at about 6 feet away. And so we would set the lens to 6 feet, we stop down, and when someone hits that 6 foot mark, you just it's an instinctual thing, you just take the picture. Well, now if you're shooting, you can shoot sort of down below like this as you're walking, and as a group of people or groups of people are coming towards you, you can just touch the screen where you want to shoot. So I don't want to call it gimmicky, but I can see this being functional in certain situations. I wouldn't recommend to always use this and get used to it. Unless this is your primary camera, because it's nice to have certain skills like knowing how to zone focus, knowing how to manual focus, understanding how to use the center focus and be able to focus and then quickly reframe and shoot. Those are kind of skills that you learn. So if you're handed a camera you're not used to, all of a sudden you're like, I don't know how to shoot with this camera because I only know how to do press and shutter. So it is a great skill to learn all these different styles of shooting and getting an image sharp. But this is a great, if you need it, I could definitely see in certain situations I would love to be able to use this, especially shooting discreet. Because if people are walking towards you and your head is down and you're just pressing the screen, it doesn't look like you're taking the picture, right? It looks like you're just fiddling with something. So that's a great feature of the touch screen. Now, you can also use it to swipe past pictures as well. But I mean, it's kind of cool, but if your finger's dirty and you swipe and you don't want to scratch the screen, I don't know. I don't mind I think it's just as fast going like this. I don't see the advantage of using the screen. And there may be some other things. Yeah, you can pinch. I think you can zoom in. Can you zoom in? No, see, you can't even zoom in. You have to use this here to zoom in. So it's a cool feature. Everything else, it works. I guess as mentioned, this button here is customizable. I like it for the digital zooming, but one of the other cool features of that button you can use is because where it is typically an autofocus lock, auto exposure lock, or AF, AEL lock combination. So if you put this to a autofocus lock feature here, so autofocus lock, so we are still in this touch mode, right? So you touch and it shoots, touch and shoot, touch and shoot. But if you press this button here, you're waiting for this to write here. Give me a second here. So here we go. So if you press this button here, oh, you know what? Give me a second here. This did work before. Here we go. You have to be in AEL, AFL mode. Okay, so autofocus and auto exposure lock. And again, you're still in the touch mode here. You're still in touch mode. If you press this button, something is not... You know what? Maybe I will retest it again. But what it did work for me before. I don't know why it's not working now. But actually, you know what? Sorry. If you press the shutter, so it is this way. But even if you press the shutter halfway down, it will refocus for you. And then you can use the rear button as a autofocus, auto exposure lock. So that is a great feature of this camera. Video, I think as I mentioned before, I'm going to do a video test, but I'm not much of a video guy, but I think this will be capable of shooting some amazing videos. The focus tab is great. It feels like you're shooting a manual. It really feels like there's definitely Leica DNA in this, and it's not just subtle hints of Leica DNA, but there's some serious Leica DNA in this camera. The battery compartment and SD card is in the same spot. That never really bothered me. SLR shooters are used to having sort of a side thing. This is kind of a point and shoot sort of convenience. No big deal for me. Electronic shutter. So from 1/2000th to 1/10,000th second is electronic, and from up to whatever it is, 1 second to 1/2000th, it's mechanical. Be careful of rolling shutter. Okay, be careful. Certain situations when there's motion, you will mess up the picture. A bike rider going across, I took a shot. It went into electronic, and it just looked really weird. So it's cool to have. This shutter is so quiet. It is the quietest real Leica, especially full frame, the quietest Leica shutter, quieter than any of the Sony, the A series. It is as quiet as any of the Fuji mirrorless. Maybe a little bit louder than the X100. Let's just even do a test here. I'll stop talking here. So that's the Fuji. Yeah, so definitely this is louder, but once it's electronic, it's completely silent. But for the Leica on the street, you can't hear any noise. This is a very quiet stealth. AF, I tested it against the X100T that I'm using this as a benchmark. Low light, focus peaking, the color pops. It looks like a laser beam shooting through your screen. So in low light, this gains up a little bit more. It's higher resolution and higher refresh rate, but this is sharp enough that you can manually focus. And because the focus peaking is like just so bright, there was an update because in low light the Fujis didn't really focus peak that well. This thing just pops. It's like wow in low light. And low light AF in my bedroom with the shutters closed, this was as fast as the X100. In daylight, I think the X100, I'm going to do a few more tests, but it seemed like this in center focus hunted less and it would snap in quicker. This was a little bit, it would hunt a bit, but still, once you get used to it, it focuses pretty fast. It doesn't handle backlit as well as the X100T. So in terms of the EVF, it is very good. It's right now because it's not too dark. There is a slight lag, but you got to move a bit fast. You can see a little bit of the coloring there as you go through quickly, but it's still a really good EVF. I'm not a huge fan of EVFs, hence I like this hybrid viewfinder in the Fuji. But if you're gonna have one, the accessory EVF on the other Leicas, it was laggy, it was slow, it wrecked the aesthetic of the camera. This thing is integrated. It's very nice. I'm really happy. You can even set the diopter here and even the sensitivity, the eye control. So, you know, when you put your eye here and it switches over, you can set that sensitivity, which Fuji cameras cannot do that. So, overall, I would say first impressions, like Steve Huff had mentioned, camera of the year, definitely for me so far this year, because this came out last year. This is the camera of the year. Last year, I mean, I use this as a benchmark as a built-in lens type camera. I really love this camera, but this one is definitely better, I would say. But you know, at the same time, this is newer, so we'll see what the X200 can do. And to me, I don't care about the sensor size as much. APS-C versus full frame. If you're only going to grab this just because it's full frame, I think you're losing out on some of the cool things about the Fuji cameras and any camera. You know, you're just buying it because it's full frame. Well, you're just like buying a car just because of its horsepower. Horsepower is definitely important, but it can't be the one and only thing. Aerodynamic, suspension, seats, the feel, the clutch, the steering wheel, all those things come into play, and Fuji's done a great job doing those sort of things. So that's my quick preview of this camera. Wait for my full review coming up soon. I thought it was kind of funny though. I started reviewing for Ricoh Imaging, and you know, it's funny. They asked me what camera I wanted to review, and I really wanted to review the Pentax Q series. So this is a QS one. So here's a Q, and I'm reviewing the Leica Q. So these are two Qs, completely different type of cameras. But this is actually a pretty cool camera here too. So I'm going to be doing a video of this and a full review as well. But for now I have this until about Wednesday, so I'm going to shoot as much as I can. But yeah, I really like this camera. This is very little negative things to say about it. So thank you for watching, and we will have fun shooting. Any questions below, just ask me. Until then, thanks for watching and happy shooting. Click, click.